Wonder Woman issue number 14. That's right, folks. Absolute power's over. We're jumping into the all-in initiative over at DC. This is like continuing the story that we were already telling in the pages of Wonder Woman, but it's supposedly like a fresh jumping on point for new readers. If you never read a single issue of Wonder Woman in this run up to this point, I don't think this book is good for you to jump onto. It almost makes no sense if you're starting out with it, because it's about the continuity of this run. But hey, DC's all in. They got their new logo, which is the old logo, and we're continuing the fun. It's the same team back for this book. It's Tom King, it's Daniel Sampere. It's going to be really fun. It's a good issue. It is the strengths of this type of story for Tom King, the thing he's really good at doing for Diana, which is subverting her expectations of her life and how she handles things. This entire book has been Diana against all odds, and this issue is her realizing she needs to take the next step to become the woman she needs to be, which means letting go of love and maybe replacing it with new love. Well, not replacing, just adding some new love into that world. This book gives us the origin of Trinity of Lizzie. She is here, conceived kind of in this book, and we'll get into it. But this book opens up, as many books do, with Wonder Woman headed to the beach. She's on a shoreline. She's dropping her tiara and her bracelets and her lasso. She's taking off her costume, and she's headed into the waters. And like every issue that's not an Absolute Power tie-in, this book is being narrated from the King of America. And he's like, we thought we had her. We thought we did good. We thought her journey would be over after the things we did. But who knows what was going to happen after we killed Steve Trevor. That's right. They kill Steve Trevor in this issue. They kill him. We see him be shot. He cries out for Diana. He falls dead with a gun that shot him because the King of America killed him. We'll get into what that is and why that happened as it goes on. But the book jumps around in time. Every other page gives you like a detail. So day 50, Diana heads into the water. On day 12, they kill Steve Trevor. On day 3, the king is talking to Dr. Psycho about like, here's the new plan we're going to do, where we're going from here. Just kind of bringing him into the fray of what's about to happen. We then see Diana in the water. We cut to day 19 where the funeral is being held for Steve Trevor. The military is all there. He's getting the big salute, everything that you'd want from him. The narration says, of course, Diana couldn't be there. She couldn't attend. She couldn't take the flag. He was a soldier in the military. She couldn't accept the flag. So because he has no like immediate family, the flag went to a distant cousin by marriage. Her name was Samantha Talgi. And one night she came downstairs because she framed the flag, and the flag was gone. And there was a note inside that says, "I'm sorry for your loss." And everyone assumed it was Diana. Did Diana take it? Well, on day 29, we see that Diana did take the flag, and she's deep in a cave, hidden away from the world of man, and she's holding the flag, and she is crying. And it's really powerful. I really like the image of Diana crying into the American flag. You can look at this a couple of ways, like, oh man, that's the love of her life gone, an American soldier gone. Or it's like Diana, and look, this is me reading into it, Diana seeing like liberty dying in America. If you want to look at it that way, you could. It's also like this is a woman who's driven by love, and her greatest love just died, and all she has is this piece of him that she can't really have. So back on day 50, we cut to Cersei and a bunch of like old ladies who like control the threads of the world or something. They're all looking at like some random pieces of thread. Something doesn't seem right about them. We'll cut back to what that means in a minute here. But just know some old witches are looking at thread. We then cut to the gun on day 12 that is going to kill Steve Trevor. Steve Trevor is brought in front of the King of America on like behest of his country, just trying to like make amends. Like, hey, we're going to figure this out. We're going to work through this and come to terms with everything going on. He is like the middleman between both parties, so of course he's going to come here and work for this. He's got a big smile on his face, and then you just assume Everything's going to be okay. Steve in this book is very happy, which I do appreciate. I think he needs to be presented that way. If you make him too bitter, I don't like that for a Wonder Woman relationship. Steve cannot be a Bruce Wayne and he cannot be a Clark. He has to be in the middle, which is just kind of schlucky but competent, you know? I think they do a great job presenting that here. So Steve's about to die. We see day 5, and I think like the days we're going are after like the events of Absolute Power. That's like what they're saying. So day 5, Diana and Steve meet in like a church, and Diana's like, can you go to the island, go to paradise, you'll be safe there. They have no jurisdiction over there, you'll be safe because they're going to come for you. And he's like, I am not going to do that. I love you a lot, darling, but I am not going to run away from this fight. I will be here to help you as best I can. We then cut to day 15, where a couple of kids are outside in Washington, just playing by the water, and they see Steve's body wash up on shore. And we learn that the reason the King of America killed Steve was because he's a petty asshole, that's the reason it should be. That's what it should be. They tried everything. Well, now we're just going to play dirty, and we're going to be pissed off about it, so we're just going to kill him. There's no rhyme or reason to it. We'll dump his body next to the Washington Monument. We'll get on with our lives. There's nothing else to care about. So the children find him. The children call their parents. They call the police. And then the military is informed of what happened. It keeps going up the ladder, going up and up and up and up until we literally get to the watchtower where John Jones hears the news and he's like, oh, no. And you're like, oh, man. We then cut to day 17 where Diana is on a bench. And she's like, you guys don't have to tiptoe. Like, I hear you're here. Like, I know why you're here. And we see that as she's sitting on this bench, Clark and Bruce show up just to comfort her. And she just admits that something went wrong. Like, I thought this was in my control and he'd be safe, but he doesn't take this long to respond. So I knew something went wrong. Something happened to him. We cut to day 22 where we see the King of America has got all hands on deck. Guns and militant people, helicopters in the air, all of the villains working with him. Grail is even there still. We are expecting a full-on attack from Diana. We killed her love interest. We're not getting out of this without a fight. So they're preparing for it. They waited for days and then weeks, and then she never came. It was like, that's her duty as an Amazon, to like avenge, but that's not what she did. And we watch as like Diana dives into the water, it turns a different color, and she emerges out of the depths into a new place. We then cut to day 32, where we follow Clark and Bruce trying to figure out this caper. Where's Diana? What's she doing? Clark goes to talk to Donna, and she's like, you should talk to Cassie. So Bruce goes to talk to Cassie, and she's like, you should talk to Yara. So they both go talk to Yara, and she's like, I don't know. Like, it's Diana. She probably just left to do something. It's very interesting, and I love it a lot. I love it a lot. Very strong. I like the use of all these characters. It's going very well. It's so well handled. Like, I think this is exactly how you should have written this story, if that makes sense. I talk about that a lot in this run. But it's so mature and fully aware of how you should handle Diana. I think that's really cool. So on day 37, Diana is like in the same cavern, just like deep away from man's world, crying to herself saying, why are you doing this? You're just some sad little girl. It's okay. You can get through this. But she just doesn't want to and just stays in that sadness. Cut back to the old ladies who were checking the threads, and they find the thread of Steve Trevor. And they're like, oh dear, a piece of it is missing. What happened to it? That can't be normal. Oh no. Another piece is missing, the piece of Diana. So a piece of Steve Trevor's thread of life or whatever, I don't know, and a piece of Diana's thread are missing. What does that mean? Something could happen. Maybe if we weave them together, we can make a new thread. We'll see what that means. But first we have to go to the underworld, because that's where Diana was headed when she was swimming deep in the waters, and Steve is there on the boat of the dead, ready to send him into the underworld. But he got into a fight with like the ferryman, so he puts the ferryman's cloak on Diana, like, here, you're freezing, warm you up. And she's like, this isn't yours, what did you do? He's like, look, nothing happened, but this guy He was going to take me across, and I said, I don't want to go across. And he said, you don't have a choice. And I said, well, that's stupid. I yelled at him a little bit. Things got physical. I beat up the ferryman. He's dead. And Diana's like, what are you talking about? You just beat up a god? He's like, yeah, I know. I don't know what happened, but I don't care about gods. I just care about you. And they embrace, and it's kind of beautiful. Is really strong, and it goes into some really interesting directions that I'm really into, which is Steve accepts that he's here. He's like, I'm here for a reason. As much as I love you and understand you, there's nothing that you can physically do to get me out of here, and you shouldn't. This is where I am. We have to accept that. And she's like, I can't. So they kiss one more time. She tells him, I'm going to get you out of here. I will bring you back to our land. And he's like, I almost believe you. If I was any other man and you were any other woman, I think this would be my fate. But you're Wonder Woman. I'm Steve Trevor. I am a character in a comic book that is a main character to you, who is your main love interest. I'm sure I'll be back. Paraphrasing, that's not what he says, but that is what's being said here. Because we're not going to keep Steve Trevor dead. We're just not. That's not what we're going to do. He will be back at some point in some capacity. We'll see how that goes. But for now, they both accept that he is going to stay here. And that is where he maybe doesn't belong, but that's where he's going to be safe. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishment the scroll. And she stops him like, it's fine. Like, Steven, you're going to do okay. It's very beautiful. It's like saying goodbye to him in like the way that these characters should say goodbye to each other, because when we're dealing with like gods in the DC universe, nothing means dead forever. But I do enjoy how he just accepts his fate. Like, this is it. I'll be okay. I'm sure we'll see each other again. I'm Steve Trevor. But he tells Diana, you know, my grandmother's name, she was Elizabeth Marston. If you don't know, William Marston created Wonder Woman, so that's how I use that name. She was all right, but I just want her legacy to live on. Her stories is like ours. It can't end in death, and it can't end in sadness. So hold on to the name Elizabeth Marston for a minute, okay? This is Steve and Diana saying their goodbyes to each other, so after they have this encounter, Diana heads back to shore. She puts back on all her accoutrements. She goes to the shoreline, and then we cut to day one. So the day immediately after Absolute Power, we see the two of them talking there. How Steve is just happy this is all behind him, and how he wished he could be here with Diana forever. Just two people that love each other. It's awesome. This whole book has been about Diana's love, and I think that's awesome. That's a really good interpretation of her. It makes me really happy. How even in her darkest moments, when she was going crazy being locked up by the King of America, she managed to break through it all because of him and her love for him, and I think that's really cool. So Diana's on the shoreline, the sun is kind of setting. She takes out a piece of her hair and she crumples it in her hand, and that's when we see that it's actually two pieces of thread in her hand, a blue thread and a red thread, and she puts them together and they glow gold. And folks, Diana is on the shoreline. She is crying to her mother, just asking, Mom, as you did when you asked Aphrodite to create me, grant this clay life, let her be born into paradise where she will be loved, our Elizabeth Marston Prince. And that is the birth of Lizzie. We get to see it. We get to see it here. It's through love. It is through cherishment. She sculpts a child out of clay the way that she was born, which I guess is the same continuity here, that she was born of clay. That's cool. But the kid does have a father. The kid is blessed with the thread of Steve Trevor. So technically, though Steve Trevor is dead, he is the father of Lizzie, which makes sense. You could have easily done an arc where Wonder Woman is pregnant. I don't think you need to do that. That's for Kingdom Come to deal with. This is fun and really cool, and I think is an incredibly unique story to tell. I appreciate that so much. So here we are, watching the birth of Lizzie. That is so exciting. It looks great. Again, Daniel Sampere's art is so good. We kind of go a lot throughout the DC universe here, and that's kind of cool to see. I don't know if like this works if you've never read any book in this series before, but it is so incredibly well handled and tells a Diana story that both feels solely her character but completely new and something she hasn't really done before. This book continues to impress me on every level. I'm so glad it exists. I'm so glad King's looking to stick around because compared to other characters in the DC universe, he really knows what he's doing with Wonder Woman and is getting to tell something pretty incredible here. I like it a lot. It's so specific and unique. So, Wonder Woman issue number 14. I am going to give a 9 out of 10. Now, thank you all for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And of course, I will catch you in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck.